Welcome back, learners. We're thrilled to have you back for another engaging session of Global English Competitiveness. Today, we're progressing to the third part of Unit 2, Navigating Conflicts of Interests. Prepare your pen and paper as we embark on a journey into the realm of personal passions and pursuits. To recap, we have 4 can-do objectives in this unit. First, to differentiate between hobbies and interests by defining their distinct characteristics and elements. Second, to explore the importance of understanding the differences between hobbies and interests in order to effectively prioritize and allocate time and resources. Third, to use adverbs to show manner of action, degree of action, place of action, and time of action. And fourth, to use the different types of adverbs in writing and in speaking. As you can remember, we have already tackled our first 2 can-do objectives, where you differentiated between hobbies and interests by defining their distinct characteristics and elements. And in the previous lesson, you explored the importance of understanding the differences between hobbies and interests in order to effectively prioritize and allocate time and resources. This time, we're going to focus on our third objective, to use adverbs to show manner of action, degree of action, play of action, and time of action. Without further ado, let's move on to our third lesson for this unit, 2C, when a conflict of interest occurs. And here are the sub-lessons that will help us achieve our objective: vocabulary, listening, grammar, speaking, reading, and writing. Let's begin the lesson with a vocabulary activity. Read each question carefully and choose the letter of the correct answer. Pause the video to start answering items number 1 to 3. Continue answering items number 4 and 5. Here are the correct answers. Moving on to our next sub-lesson, listening. Let's listen to the audio clip of 2 friends discussing about conflict of interest.
Have you ever been in a situation where your interests clashed with those of your family, professor, or organization?
Yes, it's called a conflict of interest. It happens when 2 conflicting interests collide, leading to incompatible outcomes.
It becomes challenging to make fair decisions.
Exactly. This conflict significantly impacts your ability to be impartial, especially when you have different interests at stake.
Conflict of interest can occur in education and work environments. For example, in school, there's a conflict of interest when a teacher promises good grades in exchange for positive evaluations, even if the teacher is frequently absent. This influences students' judgment and undermines the quality of education they receive.
That shows how conflicts of interest can harm individuals' best interests. I've also seen conflicts at work when a manager hires an unqualified family member, risking the company's service to clients.
Absolutely. Conflicts of interest can undermine integrity and performance. It's important to know how to handle them effectively.
Sometimes, removing the person involved might be necessary to prevent bias or undue influence. Resolving conflicts of interest quickly is crucial to avoid negative consequences.
While conflict of interest can't always be avoided, managing them properly is key to maintaining integrity and fulfilling our responsibilities effectively.
Definitely. Conflict of interest may be unavoidable, but with the right approach and measures in place, we can navigate and control it.
Yeah, right.
We had a productive discussion today. See you next time.
Bye for now, girl.
Now to check your listening comprehension skills, answer the following questions. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Pause the video to start answering items number 1 and 2. Continue answering items number 3 to 5. Here are the correct answers. Now let's proceed to the grammar point of this lesson. Today we're going to talk about the future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is quite easy to understand and use. It is used to talk about an event in the future that will be finished before another specific point in the future, looking back on it as a past event from the future perspective. The pattern of writing or speaking utilizing the future perfect tense is as follows. We have here the auxiliary verb will plus another auxiliary verb have plus the past participle of the verb, or sometimes we call as V3. Take a look at these examples. We have two examples for the affirmative sentences. We have two examples for sentences that express negation. And we have also two examples of questions. Now take a look how they are formed. We have the auxiliary verb, will have, or in the case of negation, will not have, and then the past participle of the verb. However, in the question, the subject and the auxiliary verb will switch places. When using the future perfect tense, it's common to abbreviate the subject and the auxiliary verb will. Sometimes we can also contract the subject, the auxiliary verb will, and the auxiliary verb have together. Take a look at the example flashed on your screen. Here are a couple of sentences that contract the subject and the auxiliary verb will. It is common to see sentences like these in informal writing and in conversations. In negative sentences, we have will not have. But for casual speech, we can use the contractions such as won't or won't have. For example, Leslie won't have finished her project by the deadline. In the second example, he won't have completed the assignment before the class. Keep in mind that these contractions can only be applied in casual speech and not appropriate for formal writing. So, how do we use the future perfect tense? The future perfect tense is used to talk about an action that will be finished in the future. It represents the past from a future perspective. Here are a couple of examples. By next year, I will have finished my master's degree and will be prepared to pursue a career in my field of study. We have here, will have finished. Next example. When they arrive, we will have completed the setup of the party venue. Again, here we have will have completed. The next one. In 5 years, he will have visited at least 10 different countries and will have had the opportunity to experience diverse cultures. Here we have two. Will have visited and will have had. Next one. By the end of the month, she will have saved sufficient money to purchase a new car. Here we have will have saved. And a final example, when you come back from your vacation, I will have renovated the entire house. Here we have will have renovated. Here's a visualization of the future perfect tense and the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense pertains to the present, and the future perfect tense relates to a future perspective. It's time to put your grammar knowledge to a test. Complete the blanks with the appropriate future perfect tense. Pause the video to start answering items number 1 to 5. Here are the correct answers. For our speaking activity, you're going to practice the use of the future perfect tense while discussing and predicting scenarios related to conflicts of interest. Take the time to read the instructions. Take note, this task encourages you to independently develop your skills in using the future perfect tense and applying it to predicting conflicts of interest. Enjoy exploring the topic and gaining a deeper understanding of potential conflicts and their outcomes. You may now pause the video and start working on this activity. Moving on to our next sub-lesson, reading. Read the essay with me. When a Conflict of Interest Occurs by Winona Marie Garces. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you couldn't make a fair judgment because your interests clashed with those of your family, professor, or organization? This is known as a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest arises when two conflicting interests directly oppose each other, leading to contradictory and incompatible outcomes. This conflict can impact your ability to make unbiased decisions and fulfill your responsibilities, as you have to consider competing interests. Indeed, conflicts of interest can occur in various settings, including schools and workplaces. For example, in a school setting, there is a conflict of interest when a teacher promises students good grades in exchange for positive performance evaluations, even if the teacher frequently misses classes. In this case, some students may not provide an honest evaluation of the teacher's performance, as their judgment has been influenced by the teacher's favoritism. This situation goes against the best interest of the students, compromising the quality of education they receive. Similarly, conflicts of interest can arise in the workplace when a manager hires a family member for a supervisory position, disregarding minimum qualifications and other eligible candidates. Hiring an unqualified individual can harm the company's interests and its ability to provide excellent service to clients. Additionally, due to the family relationship, preferential treatment may be given to the hired employee. Given that conflicts of interest can impact personal and institutional integrity and hinder performance of duties, it is crucial to know how to handle them effectively. Ideally, conflicts should be avoided altogether to prevent risks to oneself or the organization. If avoidance is not possible, disclosure of the conflict should be made to relevant parties in accordance with existing policies, allowing for proper resolution. This promotes communication and transparency among the involved individuals. If necessary, removing the person involved from the situation can prevent bias or undue influence. Moreover, it is vital to promptly take measures to address and resolve the conflict to prevent adverse consequences. Ultimately, while conflicts of interest cannot always be avoided, they can be managed. This time, let's check your reading comprehension skills. Answer the following questions by choosing the letter of the correct answer. Pause the video to start answering items number 1 to 3. Continue answering items number 4 and 5. Here are the correct answers. And we're down to our final activity for this lesson. Write an essay about a personal experience or observation where you faced a conflict of interest. Reflect on its impact, lessons learned, and suggest effective strategies to address conflicts of interest. Follow these step-by-step instructions in writing your essay. You may pause the video to start working on this activity. After writing your essay, you may utilize ChatGPT to assess the quality of your write-ups, ensuring clarity and coherence and adherence to instructions. Edit as needed and save or share as required. And with that, we have covered our third can-do objective, which is to use adverbs to show manner of action, degree of action, place of action, and time of action. In this lesson, we tested your vocabulary on terms related to the concept of conflict of interest. We also listened to an audio clip of two friends discussing about conflict of interest. Then we discussed about the future perfect tense. You practiced your communication skills while using the future perfect tense. We also read an essay focused on the occurrence of conflict of interest. And finally, you wrote an essay on your personal experience, lessons, and suggested strategies in managing conflicts of interest. I hope you found this lesson as enriching as I did. Unit 2C wraps up here. I look forward to our next engaging session in the upcoming lesson.